Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, eh? Every year arrives quietly, yet it leaves loudly. When a year comes, it does not ask for permission. And when it leaves, it does not return to explain what could have been done better. Okay, most people will waste our salute not because they are evil, lazy, or incapable, but because they are unaware. They wake up, they scroll, they complain, they delay, and suddenly the year is gone. Okay, let me remind you of something very important. Time is not empty. Every moment is filled with either purpose or regret. You see, wasting a year does not happen in one day. It happens when low goals are postponed until later, bad habits are tolerated just for now, growth is delayed until things feel right, and things never feel right. Education begins with awareness. Ask yourself, hey, what am I repeatedly doing that adds nothing to my life, my character, or my future? Okay, if the answer makes you uncomfortable, that's a blessing. Because discomfort is the beginning of change. Many people wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. Discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. Do not underestimate small actions, 5 minutes of reflection every day, one good habit added each month, one bad habit removed slowly, sincerely. This is how lives are transformed, not overnight, but over time. Another reason people waste a year is blame. They blame the economy. They blame people. They blame their past. But growth begins the day you say, hi, I am responsible for what I do with what I've been given. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you do control your, your response, your effort, and your intention. Remember this, a year wasted is not lost because of failure. It is lost because of inaction. Trysten live, arsenling arshalup, with purpose, plan your days, guard your time, protect your values, improve your character before chasing titles. Okay. And most importantly, do not live on autopilot. Is because when the end of arsenling arsalup arrives and it will dot arrive faster than you think, you don't want to say, hey, I don't know where the year went. I don't know where the year went. You want to say, I grew, I learned, I tried, I became better. Most people will waste arts handling our saluk. Don't be one of them. If you want, I can also shorten this for a move-minute speech, rewrite it for students or youth, add practical action steps, make it more religious or more neutral. Just tell me, time is not something we own. It is something that is entrusted to us. This understanding alone changes how a person approaches life. When people believe time is theirs, they treat it casually. They assume tomorrow is guaranteed, next year is promised, and opportunities will always return. But when time is seen as a trust, every moment gains weight and meaning. A trust is something you will be asked about how you used it, how you protected it, and whether you fulfilled its purpose. Time works the same way. Each day arrives with a silent question, what will you do with me? Because one of the greatest misunderstandings about time is the belief that losing it happens dramatically. In reality, time is wasted quietly. It disappears in small, repeated choices that feel harmless. Delaying important decisions, choosing comfort over growth, and allowing distractions to fill empty moments. No one wakes up intending to waste a year. They simply underestimate the value of a single day, and days eventually become months. When the year ends, regret arrives not because of one big mistake, but because of thousands of ignored moments. Time is also unfair in one very important way. It treats everyone equally, but rewards people differently. Everyone is given the same Ursusit hours, yet the outcomes are vastly different. This is not because some people are luckier, smarter, or more privileged, but because they respect time differently. Those who understand time as a trust are careful with it. They plan, reflect, and protect it from things that drain it without benefit. Others allow time to be consumed by noise-constant entertainment, unnecessary arguments, and endless comparison until there is nothing meaningful left. Look, another danger is the illusion of later. Later is one of the most deceptive words. When it comes to time, it feels safe, flexible, and reasonable. But later has no deadline, and anything without a deadline rarely happens. People delay self-improvement, learning, repentance, discipline, and responsibility because they believe they have time. Yet time does not announce when it is about to run out. Many opportunities expire quietly. By the time a person realizes the value of the moment, it has already passed. Understanding time as a trust also teaches urgency without panic. Urgency does not mean rushing through life or living in constant stress. It means being awake. It means recognizing that every phase of life has tasks attached to it. Youth has responsibilities. Strength has responsibilities. Knowledge has responsibilities. Even rest has a responsibility to restore you so you can continue with purpose. When people ignore the responsibility of their current phase, they struggle later, trying to fix what could have been built earlier. Time reviews priorities very honestly. What you give time to is what you truly value, regardless of what you claim matters to you. People often say health, family, learning, and personal growth are important, yet their time is spent elsewhere. Time does not lie. It exposes reality. When someone learns to track where their hours go, they often experience discomfort. But this discomfort is educational. It highlights the gap between intention and action. And seeing time as a trust also builds accountability. You stop measuring life only by achievements and start measuring it by effort and sincerity. Not every plan will succeed, but wasted time is not about failure. It is about absence of effort. Trying and failing still honors time. Doing nothing does not. A person who respects time understands that even small, imperfect steps are better than waiting endlessly for ideal conditions. Recognizing time as a trust develops gratitude. When you value time, you value mornings, health, clarity of mind, and the ability to make choices. Gratitude naturally leads to better use of time because you no longer treat it as disposable. You begin to ask better questions. Is this worth my time? Will this matter later? Does this bring growth or drain it? These questions protect a person from wasting not just a year, but a lifetime. Real change rarely comes from dramatic moments or sudden inspiration. It is built through small, consistent actions that may seem insignificant at first, but compound over time. Many people fail not because they lack potential, but because they underestimate the power of repetition. They wait for a major breakthrough, a perfect plan, or a surge of motivation, while ignoring the quiet daily efforts that actually shape a person's future. Growth does not demand intensity, it demands consistency. Small actions work because they lower resistance. A massive goal can feel overwhelming and cause procrastination, but a small step feels manageable. Reading one page, improving one habit, correcting one behavior, or learning one new concept does not intimidate the mind. When these actions are repeated daily, they build momentum. Momentum reduces the need for motivation because the habit itself begins to carry the effort forward. This is how discipline is formed, not through force, but through familiarity. Consistency also trains the mind to trust itself. Every time a person keeps a small promise to themselves, they strengthen self-respect. When people repeatedly break promises by quitting, delaying, or abandoning goals, they lose confidence in their own word. Small, consistent actions repair this trust. Even if the action seems minor, the psychological impact is powerful. The person begins to see themselves as reliable, capable, and disciplined. This internal shift is often more important than the external result. Many people misunderstand consistency as doing something perfectly every day. In reality, consistency means returning even after disruption. Missing a day is not failure. Refusing to return is. Life will interrupt routines through fatigue, stress, or unexpected responsibilities. Those who succeed are not the ones who never fall off track, but those who resume quickly without self-criticism. Consistency is built on forgiveness, not perfection. Small actions also protect a person from burnout. When people attempt radical change all at once, they often exhaust themselves mentally and emotionally. They associate growth with pain and pressure, which leads to avoidance. Gradual improvement allows the mind and body to adapt. It turns self-development into a sustainable lifestyle rather than a temporary struggle. This approach respects human limitations while still demanding progress. Another powerful aspect of small actions is their invisibility. Most meaningful growth happens without applause or recognition. People do not notice when you improve your thinking, discipline your reactions, or refine your character. But over time, the results become undeniable. This teaches humility and sincerity, because the effort is not fueled by praise but by purpose. Growth that happens in private is often the most stable. Small, consistent actions also reshape. A person does not change by forcefully declaring who they want to be, but by repeatedly acting in alignment with that identity. Someone becomes disciplined by practicing discipline daily, not by talking about it. Someone becomes knowledgeable by learning consistently, not by wishing for intelligence. Identity is formed through behavior, and behavior is shaped by repetition. Patience is a necessary companion to consistency. Results are often delayed, and this delay causes many people to quit. They assume that if progress is not visible, it is not happening. In reality, early growth often occurs beneath the surface. Just as roots grow before a plant emerges, internal change precedes external success. Those who understand this remain committed even when progress feels slow. Small, consistent actions teach respect for time. They shift focus from outcomes to effort. Instead of obsessing over distant results, a person concentrates on what can be done today. This mindset reduces anxiety and increases clarity. Each day becomes an opportunity to improve slightly, and slight improvement, repeated over time, becomes transformation. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary change, not by doing everything at once, but by doing something worthwhile again and again. Inang? Self-accountability is one of the most uncomfortable yet powerful principles of personal growth. It requires a person to look inward before pointing outward. Many people find relief in blaming circumstances, people, or systems for where they are in life. While external challenges are real and sometimes severe, constant blame weakens the individual. It creates a mindset where progress feels impossible because responsibility is always placed elsewhere. The moment a person accepts ownership of their choices, even within difficult conditions, they regain control over their direction. Like a blame often feels justified because it protects the ego. Admitting personal shortcomings can be painful, so the mind searches for external explanations. Though this protection comes at a cost. When a person blames others, they also surrender their power to change. If someone else is responsible for your situation, then someone else must fix it. Self-accountability breaks this cycle by asking a simple but demanding question: what could I have done differently, and what can I do now? Self-accountability does not mean denying reality or ignoring injustice. It means separating what is beyond control from what is within it. A person may not control their background, upbringing, or unexpected hardships, but they control their response, effort, and persistence. This distinction is critical. Those who focus on what they cannot control remain stuck in frustration. Those who focus on what they can control begin to move forward, even if progress is slow. Arcana, another important aspect of self-accountability is honesty. Many people are aware of their weaknesses but avoid confronting them. They hide behind excuses such as lack of time, lack of resources, or lack of support. While these factors may exist, they often mask deeper issues like fear, inconsistency, or lack of discipline. Honest self-reflection exposes these patterns. Though uncomfortable, this awareness is educational. It shows where improvement is actually needed rather than where blame is most convenient. Self-accountability also changes how failure is interpreted. Instead of seeing failure as proof of incapability, it becomes feedback. When something does not work, an accountable person asks what needs adjustment rather than who is at fault. That transforms mistakes into lessons. Over time, this reduces fear of failure, because failure is no longer a verdict but a guide. Learning accelerates when defensiveness disappears. Blaming others often damages relationships, while accountability strengthens them. When individuals take responsibility for their words, reactions, and decisions, trust grows. They become easier to work with and more respected. People who constantly blame others create tension, resentment, and conflict. Accountability, on the other hand, promotes humility. Admitting mistakes does not reduce dignity, it increases credibility. It shows emotional maturity and self-awareness. Self-accountability also disciplines emotional reactions. Instead of reacting impulsively, a person begins to analyze their behavior. They ask why certain situations trigger anger, fear, or avoidance. This reflective process builds emotional intelligence. Over time, reactions become more thoughtful and less destructive. This is especially important in challenging moments, where emotional decisions can lead to long-term consequences. Okay, one of the greatest benefits of self-accountability is independence. A person no longer waits for permission, validation, or perfect conditions to improve. They understand that growth is a personal responsibility. This mindset creates resilience. Even when support is limited and circumstances are unfavorable, progress continues. Independence does not mean rejecting help, it means not depending on excuses. Self-accountability creates alignment between values and actions. Many people know what is right, but fail to act accordingly. Accountability closes this gap. It encourages consistency. When a person regularly evaluates themselves not harshly, but honestly, they gradually refine their character. This ongoing self-correction is what separates stagnant lives from growing ones. Through self-accountability, a person becomes both the student and the teacher of their own development. Think? Living with purpose means understanding that life is more than reacting to events as they happen. Many people move through their days on autopilot, guided by routine, habit, and immediate comfort. They wake up, complete tasks, distract themselves, and repeat the cycle without ever asking why they are doing what they are doing. Passive existence feels safe because it requires little reflection, but over time it leads to emptiness and dissatisfaction. Purpose-driven living, on the other hand, demands awareness. It requires a person to think, choose, and act intentionally. Purpose is not always something dramatic or extraordinary. It is often found in how a person uses their abilities, time, and influence in meaningful ways. A purposeful life is not defined by status or recognition, but by direction. When someone has direction, their decisions begin to align. They stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to what supports their growth and values. But this clarity protects them from being pulled in countless directions by other people's expectations or by temporary desires. A passive existence is marked by distraction. Endless entertainment, constant noise, and habitual comparison keep the mind occupied but not fulfilled. These distractions provide short-term relief while quietly draining time and energy. Purpose-driven individuals become more selective. They ask whether something adds value or merely fills space. This selectivity is not about deprivation. It is about respect for time, for focus, and for one's inner life. Purpose also gives meaning to effort. When people do not understand why they are working, studying, or struggling, they become easily discouraged. Purpose connects effort to something larger than immediate results. It turns hardship into a test rather than a punishment. Even ordinary tasks gain significance when they are linked to a clear intention. This is why people with purpose can endure difficulty without losing motivation. They know what they are working toward. Another important distinction is how purpose affects decision-making. Without purpose, decisions are often reactive and emotionally driven. People choose what feels good now rather than what benefits them later. Purpose introduces long-term thinking. It encourages patience, discipline, and sacrifice when necessary. A purposeful person understands that not every opportunity is worth taking, and not every desire needs to be fulfilled. This restraint strengthens character and prevents regret. Purpose-driven living also shapes identity. When people live passively, their identity is often shaped by external factors, job titles, social approval, or material possessions. Purpose anchors identity internally. A person begins to define themselves by their values, principles, and intentions, rather than by how others see them. Jot.